Hello from Labyrinth Books. My name is Dorothea and I'm one of the owners here at Labyrinth, along with our friends at the Princeton Public Library and as part of the Open Schools Initiative. We are so pleased to introduce today an ongoing reading series with Ruha and Shaw Benjamin of stories and books for ages kindergarten through 5th grade. And if you like the books that are being read here, please be sure to click the button below and you can order the books and support your local bookstore. Books ordered online that ship to New Jersey ship for free, or you can call us and any phone orders that we take will also ship for free anywhere in the continental US. Our phone number is 609-497-1600, 609-497-1600. With a warm thanks to Ruha and Shaw, please welcome them.
Hello everyone, I'm Sean.
And I'm Ruha.
Welcome to Stories from Around the World. We're coming to you from Princeton, New Jersey.
This is part of the Princeton Public Library, Labyrinth Books, and Open Schools Initiative, Stories. And although we can't do much traveling now, we can travel in our imagination. So we're going to have some stories about an emperor and a king today. So the first book today is called The Empty Pot. A long time ago in China, there was a boy named Ping who loved flowers. Anything he planted burst into bloom. Up came flowers, bushes, and even big fruit trees, as if by magic. Everyone in the kingdom loved flowers too. They planted them everywhere, and the air smelled like perfume. The emperor loved birds and animals, but flowers most of all, and he tended his own garden every day. But the emperor was very old. He needed to choose a successor to the throne. Who would be his successor? And how would the emperor choose? Because the emperor loved flowers so much, he decided to let the flowers choose. The next day, a proclamation was issued. All the children in the land were to come to the palace. There, they would be given special flower seeds by the emperor. Whoever can show me their best in a year's time, he said, will succeed me to the throne. This news created great excitement throughout the land. Children from all over the country swarmed to the palace to get their flower seeds. All the parents wanted their children to be chosen emperor, and all the children hoped they would be chosen too. When Ping received his seed from the emperor, he was the happiest child of all. He was sure he could grow the most beautiful flower. Ping filled a flower pot with rich soil. He planted the seed in it very carefully. He watered it every day. He couldn't wait to see it sprout, grow, and blossom into a beautiful flower. Day after day passed, but nothing grew in his pot. Is he watering there? Waiting patiently? Ping was very worried. He put new soil into a bigger pot. Then he transferred the seed into the rich black soil. Another 2 months he waited. Still nothing happened. By and by, the whole year passed. He even has his winter scarf on. See the seasons changing, the leaves falling down, the snow covering the leaves. Spring came, and all the children put on their best clothes to greet the emperor. They rushed to the palace with their beautiful flowers, eagerly hoping to be chosen. Wow, look at all the flowers. Different colors, different sizes.
That sounds great. What are the books?
Ping was ashamed of his empty pot.
No.
He thought the other children would laugh at him because for once he couldn't get a flower to grow. His clever friend ran by holding a great big plant. Ping, he said, "You're not really going to the emperor with an empty pot, are you? Couldn't you grow a great big flower like mine?" "I've grown lots of flowers better than yours," Ping said. "It's just this seed that won't grow." There's his friend. And Ping looking so sad. Ping's father overheard this and said, "You did your best, and your best is good enough to present to the emperor." Holding the empty pot in his hands, Ping went straight away to the palace. The emperor was looking at the flowers slowly, one by one. How beautiful all the flowers were. But the emperor was frowning and did not say a word. I wonder why he was frowning. Look at all the beautiful flowers. Finally, he came to Ping. Ping hung his head in shame, expecting to be punished. The emperor asked him, "Why did you bring an empty pot?" Ping started to cry, and he replied, "I planted the seed you gave me, and I watered it every day, and it didn't sprout. I put it in a better pot with better soil, but it still didn't sprout. I tended it all year long, but nothing grew. So today I had to bring an empty pot without a flower. It was the best I could do." When the emperor heard these words, a smile slowly spread over his face, and he put his arm around Ping. Then he exclaimed to one and all, "I have found him. I have found the one person worthy of being emperor. Where you got your seeds from, I do not know, for the seeds I gave you had all been cooked, so it was impossible for any of them to grow." So what do you think everyone did? I admire Ping's great courage to appear before me with the empty truth. And now I reward him with my entire kingdom and make him emperor of all the land. And there's Ping riding in his beautiful coach with horses. So Ping told the truth, even though it was the empty pot.
The King Who Banned the Dark. There was once a little boy who was afraid of the dark. There's nothing so unusual about that. Most children are afraid of the dark at one time or another. You can see him right there. He's afraid laying in bed. But this little boy was a prince, and he decided that when he became king, he would do something about the dark. He would ban it. On the first morning of his reign, the king told his advisors about his plan. "With the greatest respect, your majesty, if you ban the dark just like that, the people won't understand. They'll revolt against you. But if you make them think it's their idea, it might just work. And so, the advisors started to spread rumors about the dark. The dark is scary. The dark is boring. You can't play in the dark. Read all about it. The dark is stealing your money. The dark is taking your toys and candy. The people had never really worried about the dark before, but all of a sudden, it started to seem like a really bad thing. So they marched to the palace and demanded a ban on the dark. Very well, said the king. From now on, the dark will be banished from this land. And because everyone had got what they thought they wanted, everyone thought they were happy. To make sure that it would never be dark again, an enormous artificial sun was installed above the palace. You can see there's a big light bulb right above the palace. Even when the real sun set, the artificial sun kept shining. All day and all night it glowed in the sky. Curtains were taken down, anti-dark hats were issued, lamps shone from every window 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People stayed up all night celebrating, which was easy because it never got dark. Look, everyone is on the street. It's nighttime, but they're all out celebrating. But soon the people were tired of celebrating. In fact, they were just tired. With the lights on all the time, no one could sleep at all. And with no real nighttime, the days dragged on forever. The people had made a mistake. They realized pretty quickly that they needed the dark back. But if anyone tried to switch the lights off, the light inspectors would make them pay a fine. Look at the light inspector going after people who's turning off their lights. As the king tried to sleep under the glare of 100 light bulbs, he heard shouts from outside the palace. "Don't worry, Your Majesty," said the advisors. "What we need is a distraction." To get the people excited about the dark ban again, the advisors decided to throw a party, a big party. A great celebration of the dark ban, fireworks, the brightest thing of all. But the people weren't as silly as the king advisors thought they were. Whisper by whisper, they hatched their own plan. And these are the people. People are coming up with their own plan. On the night of the great celebration, the king stood on the roof to watch the fireworks. But the sky was so bright that when the first fireworks went off, nothing could be seen. The king sighed. I can't see any fireworks. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the kingdom, a house switched off its lights. The light inspector knocked on the door. At that moment, the lights in the house next door went off. And the lights in the house next to that, and the house next to that. The same thing was happening on the street next to that, and the street next to that. The sky became dim. So you can see everyone is turning off their lights one by one until everybody turned off their lights. The light inspectors began to panic and call for backup. All the guards at the palace rushed to help them. See, they're all getting ready to go out and try to figure out what the problem was. And that's when, with the palace unguarded, a small group of people climbed up the wall and switched off the very last switch. The sky went dark. The king shuddered. Oh my God. "We must turn the sun back on, Your Majesty," shouted the advisors. "We must crush the uprising. We must punish the people." "Shush," said the king. "Look." You can see the king. He's looking up in the sky. I wonder what he's looking at. Wow. The lights had gone out just in time for the grand finale. And you can only see fireworks when it's dark outside. Instead of punishing anyone, the king lifted the ban on the dark. And now, every year on the same night, the people set off fireworks in the darkness. to remind themselves of what they almost lost. The king is still sometimes a little bit scared of the dark, but he sleeps with a nightlight these days. If only he'd done that in the first place, this whole mess could have been avoided. The end.
So the next story is Poco and the Drum. Poco is a frog, and she lives with her quiet parents in a quiet mushroom in a quiet forest. But everything changes when she gets a drum. The biggest mistake Poco's parents ever made was giving her a drum. They had made mistakes before, like the slingshot, and the llama, and the balloon. But the drum was the biggest mistake. "We shouldn't have given her that drum," said her father. "What?" said her mother. "The drum is too loud. I can't hear you." "The drum was a big mistake," said her father. "That sounds like a wonderful idea," said her mother, who still couldn't hear what he was saying. And they're laying right next to each other. The next day, her father said, "Poco, why don't you take your drum outside for a little while? But don't make too much noise. We're just a little frog family that lives in a mushroom, and we don't like drawing attention to ourselves." Poco agreed, and she set out as quietly as she could. It had just rained, and the forest was sparkling like an emerald. And it was very quiet. Too quiet. Poco started tapping on her drum just to keep herself company, but something stirred behind her. A raccoon playing a banjo started following her, so Poco hit her drum louder. And then a rabbit playing a trumpet started following them, but Poco kept playing her drum. And then a wolf, who couldn't really play anything, but was very happy to be near the music, joined in. And Poco still played her drum. But then the wolf ate the rabbit, and Poco stopped playing her drum and faced the wolf and said, "No more eating band members, or you're out of the band." "I'm very sorry," said the wolf, and he meant it. And then they all started playing again, and soon there was a crowd of animals playing instruments. Wow! and a crowd of animals following them around enjoying the music.
Hey there, it's Steven again. My colleague Matt is going.
And they were all following Poco.
Okay, we'll get that out today. Anything else we can do right now? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
"Poco, your dinner's ready," shouted her father. And no one answered, but he could hear the music in the distance. And the music grew louder. And louder. Until the crowd swept through the house and carried Poco's parents off into the woods. "Oh no," said her father. "Oh dear," said her mother. "I think that's Poco down in front," said her father. "And you know what?" "What?" said her mother, who was just getting to the best part of her book. "I think she's pretty good." And no one could hear what he was saying. But if they could, they would all have agreed. Hey.
No more naps.
Labyrinth, this is Steven.
Annalise Devine McFleece did not want to take a nap. Oh, she's
Okay.
crying. She would fuss.
Let me
She would
check one
fume. She would scream. She would shriek. But she would never, no, never take a nap. Do you know anyone like that? "You're tired," said her mother. "You're cranky," crooned her father. "You're making my cakes crumble," worried the baker downstairs. "I've never heard anything so loud," shouted the construction worker, breaking up concrete on the sidewalk. But it didn't matter what her parents or the baker or the construction worker or anybody said. Do you think Annalise Devine McFleece would take a nap? Oh, she's
Hi, thanks for
crying.
waiting. Sorry, we're out of it. We could cut it in early next week and do a curbside.
Nope.
If that's any help.
She would not. So her father plotted the perfect plan.
Depends on when
Let's
first
go for a
surgery,
stroll.
but likely by
That will
Wednesday,
surely make you
latest.
sleep. Outside, the sun was warm. Annalise's stroller rocked.
Oh, okay.
It rolled.
Thanks anyway.
"Sleepy?" asked her father with a great big yawn. Annalise answered with the only word she could actually say out loud. She could say it
Sure,
very,
yeah, we're open
very
tomorrow.
loud.
We'll
Do
be
you
closing,
know what that word was?
Tonight we have shorter hours. We are also open tomorrow.
No.
From 10 to 6. So you
No,
can come anytime.
cried Annalise Devine McFleece. No,
Yes.
no, 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 no.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Please take a nap, begged her father. Please. No! Excuse me, said a man sitting nearby. If she won't take a nap, may I have it, please? I'll take a nap, said a woman. I've had a very busy day. A nap would be the perfect thing to perk me up. Do you know what happened next? Everybody wanted to take a nap. The man selling hot dogs, the kids playing ball, the dog walker walking dogs, a baker frosting cookies, and the construction workers jackhammering the sidewalk, the police officer on patrol, even the man who emptied the garbage cans, and the boy on his skateboard, and the girl practicing her juggling. Yarf! Yawned a dog stretching out snooze while two squirrels took a nap in a tree, and a mouse took a nap in a pile of leaves. A flock of pigeons took a nap, caroo, caroo, carooing, because that's how pigeons snore. Even the ducks on the pond tucked in their feathers and closed their eyes. Long before, every single creature in the whole park had decided to take a nap. But what about Annalise Devine McFleece? Do you think she was taking a nap? No, that's right. She was the only one in the whole wide sleepy world who would not fall asleep. See, everyone is sleeping except Annalise Devine McFleece. Now there was nothing for Annalise to do, no one to play with, no one to fuss, fume, scream, or shriek at. And all those soft and steady sounds of the gentle snoozling, they made her feel sleepy. Very, very sleepy. Her eyes grew heavier and heavier, so heavy she wanted to take a nap. But she couldn't because, do you know why? All the naps had already been taken. But I want to take a nap, shouted Annalise Devine McFleece. I want to take a nap. Of course, she didn't really know how to say any of those words, so all that came out was, wah! Well, she's just crying because she is so tired and she wants to sleep. Wah! A wah so loud it jounced and jangled and jogged around the park. Do you hear it too? I can hear it. But everybody was snoozling so soundly that they didn't even hear it, except a gray cat with white paws napping in a window. Meow, said the cat, stretching herself awake. Don't worry, little girl. Why? I have taken so many naps. I have naps to spare. You can take one of mine. And what happened next? You might wonder. There's the cat right there, yawning. Well, if you listen closely, you might hear it. Shh, listen. Can you hear it? Can you hear all that quiet? Do you know what that means? That's right. Annalise Devine McFleece finally took a nap. And sleep tight. The end.